Okay, so we're going to talk about the segment addition postulate, and then after this we're going to talk about the angle addition postulate. Okay, postulate just means that it's true. We somehow or another mathematically just know that it's true, and we don't even have to prove it. Okay, segment addition means that we're taking line segments and we're adding them together, and we know something's true about that. And this segment addition postulate is so easy. In fact, you're not even going to believe that they bothered to call it something important like a postulate. Okay, you're going to say, like, really? Isn't that obvious? Yes, it is obvious. That's why it's a postulate in math, because it's obvious. Okay, here's what it says. We've got this line segment AC. That's the big one. Okay, so from here all the way down to here, the entire segment is segment AC. So we'll say we have segment AC. Then we have this segment right here. See, we have this point B that's in between A and C. And so we have this smaller segment that is segment BC, or sorry, AB, segment AB. And then we have this segment right here, which is also smaller than the whole thing. It starts at B and it goes over here to C. So this segment, we're going to call that segment BC. Okay? Now, here's what the segment addition postulate says, is that if the length from here to here, the distance from here to here, let's say that it's like, it's 10, okay? And let's say the distance from here to here, so the length of segment BC, let's say that that's like 17. Then we can add 17 and 10 together, and the length of the whole segment is 10 plus 17 is 27. That's what the segment addition postulate says. And I know you're thinking, well, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know why somebody would think otherwise. Exactly. Okay? And so here is basically what we're saying with the segment addition postulate, is that the measure of segment AC is equal to the measure of segment AB plus the measure of segment BC. Okay? You can add any two segments that are right next to each other, any two consecutive segments, you can add them together and you can get the length of the whole segment that is made up of those two consecutive smaller segments. Okay, so here I'm gonna write out the segment addition postulate. Here's what it says: if point B is between point A and point C on a line, then the length of segment AB plus the length of segment BC equals the length of segment AC. Okay, so look, point B is between point A and point C on this line, and therefore the length of AB plus the length of BC is equal to the length of AC. That's the segment addition postulate. Now let's go on to the angle addition postulate. All right, this time I'm going to give you the definition first, and then I'll give you an example. The angle addition postulate says, the sum of the measures of two smaller adjacent angles is equal to the measure of the larger angle that is composed of the two adjacent angles. Okay, so look at this diagram here. You can see that we have this angle right here. Hang on. Okay, look at this. We have this angle right here. That's a smaller angle. And this one is also a smaller angle. Okay, so we have these two, they're adjacent angles. ARN, angle ARN. Okay, so that's angle ARN. Okay. and then angle NRT, okay? Angle NRT. Angle NRT, okay? But then we have this larger angle here. We have angle ART. That's a larger angle. And look, it's composed of these two smaller adjacent angles. Angle ART, okay? So here's what the angle addition postulate says, is that the measure of the larger angle, the measure of this angle, is just the sum of these two angles, okay? So let's say that this angle right here, let's say that this is, I don't know, let's say that this is a 40-degree angle, okay? And then let's say that this angle here is a 58-degree angle, okay? So the measure of ARN is 40 degrees, okay? And the measure of NRT is 58 degrees, okay? Well, if you want the measure of the larger angle from here down to here, if you want the measure of the whole angle, you just add 58 plus 40. And so the measure of angle ART is 40 plus 58, which is, I said 50, I meant 58 before, is 98 degrees. And so this angle here is 98 degrees because it's the sum of two adjacent angles that make up the larger angle. And that is the angle addition postulate.